If you're like me, you're probably pondering the same question that I had before I got an electric bicycle. Do you want an e-bike or do you want an e-bike? I'm going to try to answer these questions today, and just an FYI, I'm only going to cover the main bike brands, and hopefully I can help you make your choice on what type of bicycle you want. So what type of person are you? Are you like Bill here? You like to take strolls with your friend, and when you finally decide to get an e-bike, you think that an e-bike that is just a pedal one that has a pretty good range to help you ride with your wife is going to be the best choice for you. Or
Bill's the destroyer. Bill loves to ride his bikes off-road. He only goes riding with friends that have similar bikes to his, because any bikes that are different are inferior. They can't even keep up with Bill's bike, because Bill spent $8,000 on his bike with all the upgrades. Bill's bike has only 2% of the same parts it came with.
well, depending on which one you are, this could mean the difference between getting a pretty easy to pedal bike and to getting a machine that could kill you in less than a hair split. Now, if you're coming to me and you're going to say I made the claim that I know which bike you should get in your area, I absolutely do not. E-bikes have such a complex and differentiating types of laws that one is illegal in one area and one is completely legal, and one that should be illegal in one area is completely illegal, while one that is legal is completely illegal in some areas. In fact, e-bike laws are so complex that each country has its own set of defined rules. Say if you live in the entire European Union, where you have some of the worst laws ever, like you can't have anything over 250 watts that goes faster than 15 miles an hour, but for some reason you can get a little electric motorcycle and just slap on some Euro plates on it and just go on your good old day buying some European waffles and Belgium chocolate. Well, you know, that's how it's usually supposed to go. Now, just remember, the difference between an e-bike and an e-bike are large. Now, e-bike is a loosely defined term nowadays, meaning basically anything that has an electric motor that basically kind of gets around the law and pretends to be a bicycle, when it's just totally a motorcycle that's called a bicycle. Now, if you are a reasonable person, you're probably going to choose the one that fits you best and you won't crash it. Unless you're Simon Cowell, when you buy a $20,000 60-mile-per-hour e-bike, crash it, and then say you didn't know what you were buying, and they didn't tell you what you were buying, and then you blame the company and try to sue them. Okay, now we can truly get into the itty-gritty, or is it the itty-bitty? I don't know. So let's start with the basic e-bike. This is a bike that is pedalable. It's electric, but it doesn't have 100% throttle, or you could use throttle, but it doesn't go very fast. And it's just pretty comfortable to ride. It's more like an actual bike, and you generally feel like you can ride it pretty far in one day, and you think it's going to be super fun. Now let's start with the explanation of the second type of e-bike. This is an e-bike that is not very comfortable or not very practical, but looks super awesome, goes pretty moderately fast. In fact, some people would say that these are just really mopeds, which is what I believe. They're just mopeds with pedals on them. And they are legal when they come to you, but they can easily be made illegal. And these things are probably the best for most people because they are that bit of fun and impractically fun, and they're awesome. Next, we have the third type of e-bike, which is not an e-bike at all. In fact, it's just a motorcycle with some pedals strapped onto it. Otherwise, these would be completely illegal. They're super fast, they're super dangerous. People that don't wear helmets on them are pretty much, I would say, mentally brain dead, because you should wear a helmet on any type of bicycle, whether electric or not. These are generally very expensive or unaffordable, and they are the most fun out of all of them. These can be a mix between being practical and being completely impractical, and really, some people who can get them and some people should get them, because these can be an actual economical way to get to work and back if, let's say, you live 20 miles or less away from your work. Now, what type of e-bike should you get? This is probably something that you've been trying to research and you're trying to find the perfect answer. Well, I'm going to tell you now, I don't have that answer. Only you do. You're the person that controls your credit card. I'm just the person that's directing you on what I think is best. After doing months of research and looking up many different bicycles, I settled that the Aerial Rider X class was the best for me to get to my work at Home Depot, and then I quit the same day that it arrived because I was working the night shift and I wanted to get up for an interview with the California Highway Patrol, but I was unable to because I worked the night shift. That's besides the point. You need to be capable of choosing what you want by deciding if it fits your needs. If you are an older person, now let's just say from your 50s to your 80s, an electric bicycle like the first type is most reasonable. They aren't exactly fast, but they aren't slow, and they offer the perfect amount of assistance. The same thing can be said about quite young children who are looking to get into a bicycle themselves, but I can kind of say that isn't the greatest idea because these bikes can lead to children being quite rambunctious and going speeds that they shouldn't really be going, because sometimes you think that 15 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour isn't that fast, and then you find out, damn, that's nearly twice the speed that Usain Bolt sometimes runs, and you figure out that you probably don't want your kids going that fast. Now, I know Usain Bolt doesn't run 10 miles an hour, but it was just a joke. The next type of bike, which is the mid bike, which is just the in-between speed, the one that I got, is generally for the younger crowd. This can be meant for somebody that is an older teenager that is quite responsible, somebody that needs to get to work but isn't really concerned about bringing their bike inside their work to lock it up, because come on, this thing isn't going to fit in a bike rack or it's going to be stolen in half a second. This is generally a good bike for just having fun. You want to go on some little small trails, you want to go fast, show off to your neighbors, or drive by the pub every Wednesday because you know that's the day that they have happy hour, super cheap, and you want to impress all the drunk people. That is not me, I just know someone who does that. Now let's look at the other type of e-bike, the third type, the completely illegal type. This type, when you ride it, you kind of feel a little bad. You almost feel a little guilt, but you ignore it because you're too cool to feel guilt, or you're just a psychopath. This type of bike is probably the coolest because not only can you get places fast, you can treat it more like an actual motorcycle. This is definitely not for the older crowd like Simon Cowell or people that are generally over the age of 60 unless they're experienced motorcycle riders. This bike can kill you. I mean, seriously, it can kill you, and it has killed people before. This is a motorcycle and it should be treated so. But you can just ride it slowly on the beach, or you can ride it slowly wherever bikes are allowed. Now, this is one of the things that is semi-practical, as it can get you to work back and forth, but it's probably going to be stolen pretty easily, so it's not really meant for someone who's going to be doing a lot of commuting. Though, I heard there are modifications for anti-theft. Though I still wouldn't risk it, this seems like a really bad idea, and I would just, in general, would say, you know, ignore this if you're going to be using it as a main transportation, unless you're going somewhere you know you can lock it up safely. But these bikes otherwise are pretty extreme. They can get you places pretty fast. You want to go onto a trail, but you know a normal e-bike probably won't take you. Get this, and if you have the money for it, well, just go ahead and get it. I mean, you're the only person that can buy it, you know, and if you think you want it, and you really do want it, just impulse that shit. And I'm not telling you to. Actually, that's a bad idea because they cost a lot of money. But if you want to, you should, because if you think it's going to be worth it, then go ahead. Now, what's my final conclusion on who should get what bike? Well, it's honestly up to you. I mean, if you are watching this video, you obviously are trying to do the research to see which bike you want. So I'm just going to say in general, for commuting, the first two bikes are going to be probably the best. I mean, honestly, they're not likely to get stolen if you bring them inside, though the one that looks more like a bicycle is the least likely to get stolen. The second one you should bring inside, though, and second one, by that I mean class 2 or class 3-ish, is definitely going to get stolen pretty fast if you leave it outside or somewhere unprotected. The first one is not that dangerous, and, you know, anybody could practically ride it, while the second one is pretty darn dangerous, and basically, well, you know, the only people that should ride it are people that know how to ride a bike really well and expertly. Now, the third one is such a unique one that it's just kind of hard to define what's the role it fits in. I think the Sur-Ron X bike, or the Sur-Ron, I guess it's not called the X bike, is probably the best example of you should get what is reasonable. And this is not really reasonable if you're trying to just be a commuter or ride your bike places, because this bike is absolutely terrible for that. One, it's, what do you call it? Loud as hell. I mean, it looks like a motorcycle. People are going to look at it and they're going to say, is that a dirt bike? Because it is a dirt bike. It's by definition a dirt bike, though I think it's awesome that it isn't classified as a dirt bike. And I mean, these bikes that are called bicycles are just so loosely defined in terms. Should they be allowed on bike paths? Well, I'll let you make that decision, because I honestly have a lot of fun riding my little 30-mile-per-hour moped 8 miles an hour on a strand that's only about a mile long. Now, if you feel like this video actually helped you in your choices of choosing an e-bike, please like my videos and subscribe. And if you feel like it didn't help you, feel free to not like or subscribe. I'm not going to beg for you to actually do either of those things, because if you don't enjoy my content, just tell me what I did wrong or say I didn't enjoy this video. Thank you for watching and bye.